Man, Mariners just got swept by the Baltimore Orioles. Joe, how we feeling about that? Joe's not too happy with this sweep, and I don't think anybody is. This was a rough series for the Mariners. I think that it's one that's really going to shape the way the rest... I mean, you got to come back. You have to show who you are on this road trip, because the Mariners are now starting to let it snowball. And this is something that we talked about, that the Mariners, they can have moments like this, but they can't let it snowball. We saw them when they got swept by the Giants go on a 9-series win streak, right? And that was pretty important. You better not look up anything silly back there. We can see it. They went on a 9 series win streak, so maybe, the Mariners get on the road. They've been pretty decent on the road so far this year. They're going to play the Angels. They're going to go play the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks had a really big win today, and we know the Angels aren't that good of a team, so it's tough to say what to expect out of this team over the next, like 8 or 9 games that they're on the road, or however many it is, before they come back home to take on the Cleveland Guardians. This is a rough one, man. I mean, there's just a lot of moments in this game specifically that were not fun to watch. Like, for example, you get into that 9th inning, you have Rowdy coming up, he has a 3-1 count, and Joe, how'd you feel about his swing? Yeah, so Joe wasn't very happy with that 3-1 swing from Rowdy, and neither was I. You got to pull that ball and you got to hit it over the fence or something like that. You're able to get Miles Mastroboni onto first base, the tying run, and then up comes the person who pinch hit for Cole Young, which was Dylan Moore, which Joe is showing his displeasure. Dylan Moore is, I don't know, you guys know my thoughts on Dylan Moore and this team. He's the longest tenured Mariner, which is very cool. But man, they need a lot to go right here over the next month or so. We're looking at a team now that very much so could be a ways back contention-wise when we get to the trade deadline, and at that point, I don't trust this team one bit to actually go out there and make an important move. So, anyway, chat, a sweep to the Orioles, a pretty bad baseball team. They have been playing better. They actually, they're on a 6-game win streak now. They just swept back-to-back series. Of course, one of them was the White Sox. We happen to be the other one. And so, yeah. Yep, real big. Hey, Joe, Austin Jackson says hi. One-man team. Yeah, that's it's all Cal. Cal's the only one that can happen to do anything right now. I think it would have been fun to watch to have Rowdy swinging 3-0 in that 9th inning with that ball right down the ding-a-ling, but unfortunate. How we feeling, chat? How we feeling? Baltimore's going down to play Sacramento. Is that officially the ball sack series? Joe likes that, Gmo. Joe likes that one. Think about this and we're in the playoffs, dude. I mean, if we get to the playoffs, I'm going to feel pretty good about where things are at. Why are y'all blaming Dylan when he was one of the hottest hitters in April? Because it's June now. It's June, so I don't really care. I mean, so was Jorge Polanco, and he's been downright terrible. Him trying to bunt again when he came up from the right side, if he can't hit right-handed, put his ass on the IL. I'm tired of watching Jorge Polanco at-bats, especially from the right side. Yes, he had a double in today's game. That's super, Even a broken clock is right twice a day, and Jorge Polanco was right today, but overall, he's been pretty bad. When is the charity stream? It is, what is it, Joe? June 27th? 21st. June 21st is the charity stream. I couldn't remember the day. We're so cooked, it kind of feels that way, Sean? Every day we're scuffling. Every day we're scuffling. Hell yeah. Oh, that was good, Christopher. Polanco looked good today, had a double. Yeah, until he had to hit from the right side. I can't believe I would... I don't know. That DH position is just so bad. You're down bad in that DH position. We should be better than this. The Orioles just don't line up to our stats, but here we are. Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon to see a pretty bad baseball team, you know, play well against a good baseball team, but the Mariners, frankly, are just not a good baseball team. right now. And Ty Dane Gonzalez said it best, I think, when he said this is really going to show, like, this is really going to be, we're going to see who Dan is as a manager over the next, like, 2 months or so. And, I mean, ever since then, there is a very real world, right? There's a very real world where the Mariners would have lost every single game on that homestand. There's also a very real world where they had, like, a, 6-3 homestand. It's just little tiny things that the Mariners are not doing right now. And frankly, the bullpen has also been pretty bad lately. And I think they said during this homestand, the starting pitchers only got through into the sixth, now 3 times, I think it was, with Bryan Woo. So definitely a rough go of it for the pitchers so far. The bullpen, I don't know if you, dude, Scooby Fish just subscribed. Scooby Fish, appreciate the sub, man. Thank you. But what was I saying? Oh, the bullpen. If you guys saw what the Marine Layer guys said, the most innings pitched on this team right now over the past however many games has been Edward Bizardo. Colin Snyder's been up there. Obviously, Carlos Vargas has been up there. He's been relatively all right. But yeah, it's just the pitching staff has not been great, and neither has the offense. The offense has been downright terrible. And I think that that's what happens when you bring a bunch of guys who you can't expect to perform all year. You know what I mean? You couldn't expect, like Ben Williamson, for example, to hit over 300 the rest of the year. Although he's been playing better recently. You couldn't expect Miles Masterboni to be your savior. I mean, even Cole Young, again, he's 21 years old. You can't expect Cole Young to come up and be your savior. He just needs to be a spark plug. Joe and I were saying it. He just needs to be a 100 WRC plus guy, maybe even a little bit below that, and that still solidifies that position in a spot where second base has been pretty bad for the last however long. So I don't know. It's just a rough spot right now for the Mariners offense. They scored a total of 6 runs in this series. I mean, when things were going right, they were averaging 6 runs a game. So that's just kind of where we're at. Get someone younger to manage this team. Look at the trend of younger coaches throughout sports. I think that's the direction the Mariners need to go. Dan can't do this. I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like we're going to have Dan the rest of the season for better or for worse, no matter what happens. The Mariners aren't... There's a lot of politics that would go into relieving Dan of his duties, because it sounded like Dan Wilson as the manager was kind of an ownership decision. And obviously, you know, he's a Mariners Hall of Famer. You if you're going to fire Dan Wilson, it has to be in a much better situation than it was when you fired Scott Service. So I think that Dan's going to be the guy at least through this year. And I mean, for what it's worth, like, the team played really well there for a little while, and we gave Dan his praises, but we still don't love the way that he manages a bullpen. We don't love the way that he, he goes about maybe leaving Polanco in the number 2 spot, even though he's been struggling. Move Polanco down in the lineup. Why is he still batting 2? He has had literally the worst month of his career over the past 30 days. Why is he still batting 2nd? I don't know. I truly don't know. Is there really any young coaches? Dave Roberts ain't young. Boone ain't young. Younger coaches are guys like Seahawks head coach now. I mean, I think about it, and it's like the guy that it could be is like Christopher Negron. He's going to be a manager next year, I'm pretty sure. He's just that kind of guy. I would love to see it be for the Mariners. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this team moving forward. When they have so many guys on the injured list, we know that Luke Raley might be starting his rehab assignment next week, which, Joe, how do we feel about that? Perfect. Were you napping? Alright, go back to sleep. I'll stop asking you. Why Cal at 4? Just move him up to 2. Yeah, Cal should be batting 2 every game. I mean, the argument back in the day with Joey Votto was, where do you bat Joey Votto? A lot of people used to say 4, right? He's the guy that drives in runs, but he's your best hitter. You bat your best hitter 2nd. He's going to get plenty of at-bats, and he's going to get a chance to drive somebody in. You bat your best hitter 2nd. Julio batting 3, fine. Randy has had has had a rough go of it. Why is Joe on the casting couch? He's just trying to get famous, guys. You know, the revenue when the Mariners suck doesn't come through as well. So Joe's trying to supplement that. You know what I mean? I need them to shake up this roster soon, bro. Me too. Me too. I think that this roster just needs help right now. And yeah, some of that might be coming in the form of Luke Raley, but we can't rely on Luke Raley to be the savior for this team either. We know that Victor's not going to be back until the end of the season. AJ, what's up, man? Hey, at least you weren't swept by the Rockies. Yeah, rough series there for the Marlins, huh? That's tough. Swept, but at least it wasn't to the Rockies, I guess. Randy is still the fourth best hitter on the team. Yeah, that is true. I think that Randy is fine at 4. He just had a really bad homestand. You know, when the Mariners go 3-6 on this homestand and a 9-game homestand, like, you have to play better than that at home. And the Mariners generally have in the past. And what's so interesting is that the rotation, while they didn't get deep into games, they didn't pitch horribly, right? Emerson Hancock had a good start. Brian Wu had a good start. Even George Kirby's start wasn't great, but he only allowed 2. He wasn't good by any means, but he only allowed 2 in that start. So they kept you in the game, but they just didn't give you length. And with how bad this bullpen has been recently, that's going to lose you a lot of ball games. And it's been a lot of, one-run games for the Mariners over the past 9 or so days, and that's just kind of what we have to live with. So the games versus the Twins could have very much gone the other direction, and they just didn't. So, thankfully. What's worse, getting swept at home or watching Solano 2025 highlights for the 10-hour version? Man. There's 2 things in the 10-hour version, so it's just watching the same 2 things over and over again. I'd rather get swept at home. At least Wu gave them another strong 6 innings. I mean, had he not fallen apart there at the beginning of the 6th, sure. You know what I mean? Sure. But unfortunately, when Adley was able to just squeak one over the fence, the shortest home run of his career, right after Cal just hit the shortest home run of his career, and then you pitched to Gunnar Henderson right after that, the pitch to Adley was terrible. It was right down the middle. At least to Henderson, it wasn't a terrible pitch. But yeah, I think that, he started to unravel a little bit. And he was able to get out of the inning, which is good. He's still gone through 6 innings every start of his career. Or of the year. But, yeah. I don't know. It's just a toxic Astros fan living in Spokane. Fair enough. Is this not a Mariners Anonymous episode? Gmo, there's a gigantic Mariners Anonymous logo on the screen. It's really big. It's right there, man. No, Wu wasn't great. So, is it a salary issue with having Solano still on the team? No, John, because you're going to have to pay Solano that money whether you release him or not. Whether you release Solano or not, you're going to have to pay him that money. Same with same with Mitch Garver. And so I don't understand why they're still on this baseball team. Bring up Tyler Locklear, bring up Harry Ford. But I don't know what they're doing. If this team was serious, Solano wouldn't be on this team. If this team cared about winning, Donovan Solano wouldn't be on this team. And Mitch Garver, whatever. Jorge Polanco would be on the injured list if this team was serious about winning. Plain and simple. But yeah, rough one. This whole series was Mariners Anonymous. It was. Yeah, it was a rough series as a whole. I mean, this whole homestand was Mariners Anonymous. I went to probably the worst ending of my life last Friday that I've seen in person. When Andres Munoz gave up those 3 runs to tie the game, and then Casey Legumina came in and gave up 6. That was probably the worst ending that I've ever had. Sorry, I was distracted by Joe on the casting couch. It's totally right there. You're good, man. Hang on. I got this. Hold on. What if I move? Oh, shoot. I don't know what I just moved. Joe, I'm breaking stuff. Let's see. We're going to go like this. Here we go. There we go. Right over Joe. Now it's over Joe's face. Thanks. If this team is serious, go trade for Bat. So the thing with trades, we talked about it a little bit last night on the stream. There's probably not a lot of teams that are going to be trading right now they're going to be holding on to their trade pieces until it gets a little bit closer to the deadline, and what are you doing? Until it gets a little bit closer to the deadline, and then they're going to, have like a bidding war sort of deal. Don't get me wrong, there'll be some teams that'll make some trades, but a lot of teams will wait until it gets close to the deadline. And then, if they're able to have a bidding war for some of their players as teams get a little bit more desperate, then that's what they're going to do. But this team killed Joe. It did. Yeah, rip Joe. Look at him back there. Poor fella. The Portland Pickles start the season 6-0, by far the best baseball team in the PNW. That's true. That's a good point. Have you seen the Everett Aqua Sox? Mariners need Cal to have multi-homer games to win. Yeah, apparently. Feels that way. For how bad we're playing, still tied for first. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Has the Astros game started yet? I don't know if the game's started yet. Survey says Astros start at 3:40 versus the Pirates. They did lose to the Pirates, so if they lose this game, they would lose the series, which is good. But yeah, pretty close to first place still. When you're going to play some pretty bad teams in the Angels and the Diamondbacks over the next, however many games, it's just what you're gonna have to do. Joe, thumbs up if you still have a voice box. AJ says. Nah. You still got a voice box? Yeah, he's still got one. He's still got a voice box. Is Joe drunk? God, I'm sure he wishes after what we just watched. If we didn't have Cal, we'd be in last in the division by a lot, maybe. Good news is also the deadline should produce a lot of first basemen. I mean, we saw Ryan O'Hearn in this one. Is Rhys Hoskins going to be available? Like, there are going to be options. Is this Mariners team going to be willing to pony it up? And we can talk about the trade deadline all we want. Is this team going to be in it at the trade deadline? Because if they play like this, no. Frankly, I think they will be. I do think this team will be in it come the trade deadline. However, there's a very real possibility, and I've mentioned it for the last month, it feels like, that this team could either be 10 games up or 10 games down into the division. I wouldn't be surprised either way once you get to the trade deadline, just because of how inconsistent they've been playing. So, that's just kind of the way it's felt. Trading at an overpay is no excuse when you could have done it cheaper at the right time. Well, we talked about it last night a little bit. Yeah, I know. A little bit. There were not trades to be had in the offseason. We saw one trade, right, that happened with prospects, and that was the Garrett Crochet trade. Whoa, Joe, everyone says hands above the covers, buddy. And so, we saw one trade for prospects. That was Garrett Crochet. A lot of teams weren't trading for prospects. I mean, executives around the league said that. You know what I mean? And so, for the Mariners, as they get to the trade deadline this year, all we can hope is that some of these teams, there are more teams out of it this year than there were last year. That's all we can hope. And if there's not, then you're shit out of luck. Last year, you had a good start to the trade deadline by getting Randy. You should have done more. But they weren't able to get anything done for Yandy. They weren't able to get anything done for, Vlad, obviously. They ended up going with Justin Turner, who, again, Justin Turner was great for the Mariners. He was fantastic for the Mariners. They need to do better. They went out there and got Jimmy Garcia, and he was ass. So, yeah, I don't know. Josh Naylor got injured today. Oh, tough. How's Gino doing? Can we still have Gino? Can we still get Gino? How is Yandy still a Ray? I think he'll be traded at this deadline. I really do. I'm pretty sure. Just like we couldn't be out forever and we can't be bad forever. Hey, man. We always find a way, huh? But we'll find a way to miss the playoffs by one game this year, like we always do. It's true. I think we lost tonight because of Woo, and last night because of Cal. What? Our trade deadline acquisitions will be Robles and Rayleigh. I mean, they might try to pitch it that way. That way. If you want guys like O'Hearn to be available, you need to beat the Orioles and other teams with those players. I mean, true. That is true. Are the Orioles going to think they're in it now? Are they going to think, let's see, how far back are they? And there's no shot, right? I say that. In the standings, Baltimore is, they're still 11 games below 500. They're not going to be they're not going to have a chance at the playoffs. They are 7.5 games back of the third wild card spot. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But chat, we got to go record the podcast now. I got to wake Joe up from his slumber. But we're going to go record the podcast. Quick little 20-minute stream. I think that might be all that I can manage today after what we've watched over the past few days. But I appreciate all you guys being in here. 100 people in here, even at 3 p.m. on a Thursday, is pretty nice. So, with that being said, Mariners have a game tomorrow versus the Angels. I will be here to stream after that game as well. So, appreciate you guys. Make sure you watch the podcast tonight because we'll talk a little bit more about this series. And go Mariners.